Hello and welcome to another trip report. If you're known with this channel, you know that this channel is mainly focusing on train traveling, ferry traveling and sometimes traveling on long distance buses, but mainly to show you what it's like to travel on a more sustainable way of transportation. No matter how you look at it, flying is just not a sustainable way of transportation in terms of for the environment, of course. Even though airlines are really doing their best to make flying slightly more sustainable, but it's just not a sustainable way of transportation. I have to admit, I took an airplane. I'll tell you later on in the video why. Because I think for now we should dive into this topic. I think if you clicked on this video, you just want to know how to get from the airport of Madrid to the railway station or the city center. So let's dive into that for now, and I'll get back to you at the end of the video with my explanation and background, and also tell you a little bit more about this channel in general. If you like this video or this is a helpful video to you, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions or even you just want to say hello, feel free to leave a comment. And if you want to see more trip reports or videos where I tell you about a more sustainable way of transportation, mainly trains, subscribe to my channel. But for now, let's roll the intro. For this trip, I arrived at the airport of Madrid at Terminal 4. If you're flying with a low-cost airline, you most likely do not end up at Terminal 4. Anyway, at Terminal 4, you will find the commuter rail of Madrid. What are the Cercanías? Cercanías are in general commuter trains in bigger Spanish cities. Line C1 and C10 do call at Terminal 4. The metro does also call at Terminal 1, 2 and 3, and another stop in between what has the name of the airport. If you're flying to or from this airport, just make sure you will check from what terminal your plane departs. The Cercanías or the commuter rail, and these trains do not pop up in the international timetable. Like for example the website of the German state-owned railway company or the app of Interrail and Eurail. But if you're traveling with Interrail or Eurail, you can just take these trains. It's really a pity that these trains are not being published in those apps or in the international timetable, because some of these Cercanías trains in other towns do serve quite popular touristical towns along the coast. The Rodalies trains in Catalonia, they also don't show up in these timetables, but they do provide very good local connections as well. So I made a video about that, and you can find it in the description of this video. For now, let's focus on this topic for this video. Right below the terminal, you will find the entrance to the metro, and a little bit more at the side, you will find the entrance to the railway station. Vending machines are located right next to the entrances, and over here at the railway station section, you will find a big screen that will host information about departing trains. You'll find some vending machines for local trains, but also long distance trains. However, if you're traveling with a long distance train, I strongly recommend you to not buy your ticket last minute, because trains do come including a seat reservation, and there are not being sold more tickets as there are seats available. And apart from that, the earlier you book your tickets, the cheaper they are in general. We were having an AVE high-speed ticket, what allowed us to use the Cercanías at the beginning and the end of the journey in the cities where you will find this. So we could travel for free to the main railway station. The railway station at the airport is a terminal station, and this is all quite modern and big. It's not really special, and I would not say that this is the most comfortable railway station I ever saw. However, it's quite spacious and directions are given very clear. From the railway tracks you have a good view on the metro and the other way around. But once again, the metro is serving more parts of this airport, and the Cercanías are only serving Terminal 4. Screens at the platform do host clear information about the first departures from here. Both for the metro and the trains, this is a terminal station. And this is our train coming in, a Renfe class 450 electrical multiple unit that does have a top speed of 140 km per hour. These trains have been built in 1988 and are truly commuter trains. I also traveled on the Cercanías in Malaga, and I made a video about that as well. And those trains are much more modern than these trains. However, these trains are good for the job, and this is serving as a local commuter train. The seat layout comes in a 3x2 configuration, both at the upper and the lower deck, and therefore the aisle is quite narrow. And in terms of space, well, you won't have a lot of space. And there's not a lot of space for luggage either. Both at the upper and the lower deck, basic LED screens will host route information. This is all very basic, but it's both in Spanish and in English. The general comfort level of these trains, well, I don't find them that comfortable to be honest, but they're good for shorter distances, and this is why people use these trains. Maps and safety instructions are given at the end of the compartments and near the entrance and the exits, and no train tour is complete without doing a toilet review. Well, this is how the toilet is in this train. I found cleaner toilets on trains, but well, at least there is a toilet. These trains do come in one class only. You can't reserve seats, and tickets are just for any train. There's no Wi-Fi available, and well, there are no power plugs either. I also traveled on more modern Cercanías trains, for example in Malaga, and I have a video on that as well. The Cercanías trains from the airport do call at Madrid Chamartin and Madrid Atocha. Chamartin is mainly for the long distance trains to the north of Spain, and at Atocha you will find mainly long distance trains to the south and towards direction Barcelona. You also find some international trains into France, all via long distance trains that will use both the conventional and the high-speed railway lines do use both stations, so they can depart from both stations no matter where they're going to. This is a railway map of Spain. Madrid is really in the center for Spanish railways. The blue lines are the high-speed railway lines, and these are on standard gauge tracks. The red lines are the conventional railway lines, and in Spain and Portugal these are on broader Iberian gauge tracks. And then you'll find the green lines, these are narrow gauge railway lines. There's quite an impressive network of this in the north of Spain. Even though you will find different track gauges, Spain is being well connected to the European high-speed railway network. And thanks with the use of modern techniques, it's also easy to have trains that can switch easily between the broader Iberian gauge tracks and the standard gauge tracks like you can find in the rest of Europe. And also with conventional railway lines, there are good connections to France at Hendaye, La Tour de Carol, Cerbère and Portbou. Even via Canfranc you will find good local connections, but this is really regional. From a lot of these border towns, you also find sleeper trains to Paris. Related videos can be found in the description of this video on YouTube. And something else you can find in the description of this video on YouTube is a link to a map, and on this map you can find all trip reports on this channel. The lines do indicate the routes, and the train and ferry icons do indicate the railway station and ferry terminal reviews. This channel is mainly focusing on long distance and international train and sometimes ferry traveling. Mainly to show you what it's like to travel on a more sustainable way of transportation. For now, I'll show you some views from the train between the airport of Madrid and Madrid Atocha via Madrid Chamartin, so to the main railway station via the other second main long distance railway station of Madrid. For the biggest part, the train will be underground though. We got out at the railway station Madrid Puerta de Atocha, where you find a great botanical garden within the railway station. I truly loved this. If you want to know more about this railway station, I do have trip reports where I'm featuring this. From here, we took a high-speed train to Andalusia, and I traveled back by train to the Netherlands as well, of course. I also feel like I have to explain why I took a plane, because I'm really not pro planes. Um, but first, the reason why I made this video is if I want to reach out to people and let people know about alternatives from flying, I think the best thing is to focus on people that are taking planes. So this is why I made this video, to reach out those people. I mean, you can be like, no, you should not fly, and be like really strict, but I think in that situation you just have the opposite effect. So come here, I'll show you what it's like to travel on a more sustainable way of transportation. And hopefully this will encourage you to do so as well. The reason why I took a plane. At the moment I recorded this, I was changing jobs. I worked for an NGO, and I'm back in the train business again after COVID. I really missed it, and I had the opportunity to go back to start for another company, be the first employee ever. So that's an adventure. I'm working there right now. Um, so I was changing jobs, so I was having very limited time. I already planned a trip by ferry and train to Norway with a friend of me. It was on a weekend, really enthusiastic weekend, and we took the first ferry connection between the Netherlands and Norway of a new connection, following Norway lines, and we really wanted to be there. However, at the moment I got back on Sunday, I had a couple of hours at home, and then we went. I went with my girlfriend to Spain, so it was quite hectic. I looked for alternatives though, because they are there, but they were all fully booked. This was all planned pretty last minute. Um, does it make it good to take a plane? Because in general, I think if you're traveling, you should travel responsibly. So don't travel too much, and especially don't take flights on shorter distances. This is like discussable if it's a short distance or not, but to me it is. To me, 95% of all flights within Europe are just unnecessary, but sometimes there are just no good train connections. What I want to do on this channel, I really want to show you what it's like to travel on a more sustainable way of transportation, also make fair trip reports. If something is not good, I also mention it, because the last thing I want is that people travel on a more sustainable way of transportation because I was really enthusiastic in my videos about it, and they don't like it. That's really the last thing I want. Because then next time they just take another plane. So if a train is bad, I'm also saying it. I'm honest about this, and I want to make my videos as honest as possible. Um, my girlfriend works for Airline Alliance, so we could use standby tickets, what makes it a little bit more okay for me to fly. It's still not okay because no matter how you look at it, if you just basically not even talk about sustainable or not sustainable ways of transportation, but if you just look at the number of kilowatt hours that is necessary to, take off for a plane, to keep it in the sky, and if you, then it's just not sustainable. It just consumes an awful lot of energy. Apart from that, pollution at a higher altitude is always more damaging to the environment than on a lower altitude. Of course, if planes are higher, they will have less air resistance, so they will use less energy. So this is, there's always something to say about this. I can get really enthusiastic about this, and I can get really deep into this, but I won't do that. But I want to share my knowledge on how about traveling, and share this with you on this YouTube channel to hopefully encourage some of you to make more sustainable choices. And I mean, there are many other great sustainable YouTube channels out there, but I want to share the knowledge I have most, and I can give to you. I mean, if I would make a zero waste YouTube channel, I also love to do that. But there are so many people who know way more about that topic than me, even though I'm really enthusiastic about those things as well, by the way. Anyway, I talk way too much. I explained why I did this. Oh yeah, and one thing I really want to say as well. Um, um, my girlfriend works for an airline alliance, like I mentioned before, and she was also involved in a project for sustainable flying. And airlines are really doing their best to make flying a bit more sustainable. And this can be in collecting garbage to recycle, in reusing recycle materials for the interior, whatever. But they really do their best to make flying a bit more sustainable. But if you just look at the energy consumption of planes, it's not sustainable, and it will not be sustainable ever. Well, not for now. Maybe on the long term, but for now it's just not. And hopefully this can be improved. I'm not totally against flying. Maybe I want to make some more of these videos for the important hubs, for, well, important airport hubs within Europe and other destinations. Because if you're coming from other places to Europe, you most likely end up at those spots, and Madrid is one of them, and especially for people from Latin America. But once again, I talk way too much. I should really stop talking now. I hope you like this video. If you do so, give me a thumbs up, or if this had been a helpful video to you. If you want to see more train-related videos or ferry or, well, videos will tell you about a more sustainable way of transportation, hit the subscribe button. And if you have any questions, or even if you want to say hello, leave a comment. But for now, I really stop talking and I end up this video. See you on my next video.